The most important trait for a therapist to have, which has been found by research, is empathy. Many therapists identify as being an empathic person. Many therapists would probably say that the reason that they became a therapist is because they have a strong desire or motivation to help others. Carl Rogers was a psychologist and considered one of the pinnacle thinkers in the field. He created what we call person-centered therapy. There are two foundational traits, which are empathy and having unconditional positive regard. What empathy means is that you're able to connect with the emotional experience of clients, and you're also able to understand their perspective. Unconditional positive regard is that no matter what they say, you accept it and you give them space to feel and exist however they show up in the therapy room. And the key there is that it's unconditional, which means no matter what they bring, you are going to accept them for who they are and you're going to have empathy for their experience. Now, I think there's an interesting paradox here, which is that despite what I'm saying, that empathy is the most important factor, one of the most important factors in therapy, is that it can be harmful. In my experience around community of therapists and graduate school programs on social media and digital content, we really prop up empathy and compassion. And I think there's actually some strong cases to be made that this can sometimes steer us in the wrong direction. Paul Bloom is a research psychologist who wrote a book called Against Empathy. While empathy is good in many cases and it keeps us bonded to those that we care about, and it is part of one of the most important parts of being a human being, it actually has a dark side to it. One aspect of empathy that is a problem is that we tend to be empathetic or identify with people that are similar to us. Where this can get us in trouble is that we might see somebody who looks like us or is part of our same ethnic background or supports the same football team. This type of emotional reasoning can actually make it problematic. The way that I think this applies in therapy is that if we are working with a client that is very similar to us or who we identify with, we can see them through rose-colored glasses. That actually keeps us from the process of true empathy, which is connecting to their emotional experience and their perspective. If we don't relate to somebody, we might hold prejudice towards them. And this creates a lack of understanding and disconnection, which is antithetical to the therapeutic process. So another interesting component here is oxytocin is a hormone that we associate with really positive things, right? Like the mother-infant bond, for example. It's true that oxytocin does have this really pro-social side to it. The dark side of it, which is similar to what Paul Bloom talks about against empathy, is that it actually makes us connect to people that are in-group members. Oxytocin might make us warm and cuddly with people we care about. It can actually create more out-group prejudice. This process of empathizing with our group and seeing the other group as being hostile or evil. This is the heart of propaganda. Empathy is a huge part of that. And so it can be dangerous. Those of you who have had experiences in therapy have ever felt like your therapist feels cold from you, or maybe disingenuous, or maybe even a little bit hostile. This therapist might be empathetic, compassionate person and actually see themselves this way. And yet this might stem from a sort of selective empathy that they're not able to connect to your experience. It might not be that they're overtly prejudiced against you, but they just might not be able to connect with you. And that's a problem. I think the solution to this is to aim toward advanced empathy, which is what I think Carl Rogers was talking about. So what advanced empathy is being very intentional about connecting to the client's experience, despite the fact that you might disagree, you might not identify with it, and it might actually seem like something that is morally or ethically wrong. You have to really push yourself over the hurdle of your own experience and feelings to kind of paradoxically connect emotionally with your client. I think there's a kind of code to living as a therapist, which kind of marginalizes us. It says that they're in the therapy room. Sometimes there isn't a right or wrong side, right? You have to kind of separate yourself from right and wrong or the world that you live in and encounter with your family and culture for the sake of being able to truly connect and empathize with the client. One of the costs of this is that it can be kind of a burden because you're actually letting go of things that are very important to you. You can go through a lot of painful and challenging experiences connecting with somebody that you don't identify with. And yet, this is extremely important to being able to have an effective therapeutic relationship. This allows us to go to places that are incredibly vulnerable and even dark. All of us have what Carl Jung called the shadow self. And this is parts of us that we don't want to acknowledge that might be taboo in society or that are unacceptable or maybe shameful, but that still exists. This might be sexual desires, it might be violent urges, it might be things we've done in the past that we regret, it might be competitive feelings towards family or friends, wanting power and wanting kind of grandiosity that's within all of us to some extent. By being willing to go into that dark place with the client, feel it and accept it and give space for it can actually lead to a great catharsis and relief that leads to the person changing if they need to change. Often, we don't need to make some radical change, right? But it can actually be helpful. Someone might have dark thoughts. Being willing to go to that place with them, they experience catharsis and relief, and then it can dissipate and they can go on and live their life, these intrusive, painful thoughts that they have. Because we've been able to go to that place with them and accept it, they can heal. In most cases, it's just the client being able to be seen and felt and accepted for who they are. That's what I think advanced empathy is. It's being able to be truly empathetic towards any and all people who come into the therapy room. It's not just about being compassionate towards people of my political party or compassionate towards people who look and sound like me or have similar experiences and traumas and mental health concerns. Whoever walks in the room, I'm going to do what I can to immerse myself in their experience and accept it. It's this process of advanced empathy that I really think is what makes therapy work.